In our previous discussion, we highlighted significance and relevance of space and also the spatial interactions. We also get familiar about examples and processes of application of spatial information to common issues, the general issues, and highlighted effective use of spatial analysis can add value to our analysis or investigation. So, spatial information can be said as a method, not a discipline or body of knowledge. As you recall, I have mentioned this, that it is holistic in nature, as space creates a system for the phenomena on any specific location. It is eclectic. This means that spatial information is composed of elements drawn from various sources. So, applying spatial information means the examination of spatial interactions, understanding patterns and variations over the space. So now, to extend our discussion now, we examine the spatial information components. The first can be the location. In the context of spatial information, it refers to the phenomena existence at any location. In other words, expression to the question of where any phenomena is existing or located. Second can be the dependence of phenomena to any location. Here, the relationship will fetch expression to either spatial heterogeneity or spatial similarities. In both cases, spatial dimension is associated. This points towards the spatial differentiation observed in the value of a variable. This variation can be expressed in spatial association. It can be also expressed in spatial interaction, spatial externalities, and even spillovers. These are some examples which comes to my mind. Here I would bring into my discussion the Tobler's law, which is relevant, which says everything depends on everything else. Everything depends means what? All the phenomena which are spread over the Earth's surface, they are dependent on other things. Here the interaction is highlighted, but closer things have its influence more. It means that at that location, the closer geographic spaces will have greater influence on the phenomena, and the phenomena's influence would be also greater to the nearby locations. So in that context, this Tobler's law is very relevant. As I am saying, it says about everything depends on everything else, but closer things have its influence more. And as this is established fact that the influence of any phenomena is greater on nearer locations, and with distance its influence reduces. But the scale matters. It depends on scale when we would be representing these locations and these phenomena. The influence would also be dependent on the scale and its representation. So there can be 5 basic spatial themes which is relevant to our discussion. First is the location, which answers the question where. Now this can be either absolute or relative location. The second can be region, which is space over the Earth's surface with uniform characteristics. Here the significance is that how at geographic spaces, features, whether it is human or natural, are found similar or different. The third is man-nature relation. It is the oldest theme of geographic spatial inquiry, I would say. It focuses on natural setting of any specific location and human response to that setting, or human activities which is possible there in response to the prevalent environment. Fourth can be uniqueness of the location. That is, any place, the geographic space is special, unique due to the specific characteristic of that particular space. Fifth can be the communication, movement, circulation, diffusion across the earth's surface, which links all regions and places, both physical and human systems, and their interdependence. So, looking into the detail of the first spatial theme, the area analysis, which is basically deals with location. Now, location refers to a specific location or position on Earth's surface. There can be two types of location. One is absolute, another is relative. Absolute location refers to the exact location of a point on Earth's surface. Using latitude and longitude coordinates, we can identify that location. An example of absolute location is the location of, for example, Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt, which has a specific location of 29 degree 9 minutes of north latitude and 31 degree and 1 minutes of east longitude. You name the location. For example, I come from Aligarh. So Aligarh has also a specific location with specific geographic coordinates in terms of latitude and longitudes. You can take your own location, any city, any settlement in India, and it will also have a absolute location which would be represented by the specific latitude and longitude, which you can identify very easily. The relative location, on the other hand, describes a place location relative to other sites or landmarks. For example, one can conceptualize Aligarh city as located east of Delhi, south of Meerut, making it relatively closer to these cities rather than Mumbai or Kolkata. So Delhi is closer to Aligarh, Meerut is closer to Aligarh. So when we are explaining the relative location, we would be using Delhi as benchmark. Here the scale would play an important role. So the relative location gives idea of spatial relations among different locations. Relatively can also be on the accessibility or dynamism, the changes in the feature. They might be influencing the locational perspective. As in modern day, travel time has reduced considerably with high-speed vehicles compared to sea routes with air travel. Location play an essential role in understanding the geography of that particular region. It helps accurately identify and locate different places on the Earth's surface, and by examining the location of other areas, one can better understand how various physical and human features evolve and interact with human activities. Again, modern world with its dynamism in economic and social attributes, it is transforming at a quick pace. So rapid transformation are being observed and location is determined through various tools and techniques. The tools and techniques are also changing, and their access and spread have helped locating places, whereas with ease. For example, GPS technology has revolutionized how people find their way around unfamiliar area by providing real-time information about their current location. We can share our location also. Spatial science is another tool which represents locations graphically through maps. So that way I would say location is a very important theme in the context of geography, but also in the context of spatial information. The location is of paramount importance. The second spatial theme is based on area analysis, that is the region, which forms region, that is space with homogeneous characteristics. So in the context of spatial information analysis examination, the formation of region with homogeneous characteristic would be very important. This can be drawn on similarities. I'm trying to explain the homogeneous characteristics. So homogeneous characteristics can be drawn on the basis of similarities of the phenomena or even through dissimilarities of the phenomena within any geographic space. So region is concerned with how areas are similar or different based on their physical and cultural characteristics. Various factors such as language, religion, political boundaries, climate, landforms, economic systems, they can define regions. The concept of region helps us to understand the diversity and complexity of the world by grouping places with similar characteristics together or dissimilar characteristic together. Like formal regions which exhibit uniformity across a cultural or physical characteristic and are based on measurable data. The example can be the state of Uttar Pradesh. Similarly, functional regions defined by interactions among places based on surrounding environment. It can be physical environment, social, cultural environment. The example of functional region can be the Gangetic Plain. Now, another very interesting kind of region formation can be the vernacular region also. The perceptual regions, which are based on widespread popular perception of existence, like North India, South India, Northeast of our country. Examining regions helps us understand how human societies, the people over the earth, have developed unique ways of life in response to their environment over time. So that way, the locational based, geographic based theme of region is also very important and critical. Another very important and dominant spatial theme deals with man-nature relationships, which have many components. Important among them are natural, can be social. With time is also influential component. Man-environment interaction explores the relationship between humans and the natural surrounding around them. It examines how human beings modify and adapt to the environment and how the environment affects the human behavior and culture. This theme is essential in understanding the impact of human activities on our planet and the consequences that may arise from them. So here we are talking about the man-nature relationship, the interaction between the man-nature phenomena. One example of man-nature interaction is in the construction of dams. As we human beings build dams to control water flow, generate electricity and provide crop irrigation. But on the other hand, these modifications of the natural environment can have both positive and negative impacts. Positive, it helps us in our survival over the Earth's surface as I am saying that it can control water flow, the construction of dam, generate electricity, etc. It benefits with flood control. It benefits for renewable energy production also. but they can also lead to adverse effect such as habitat destruction. You see the examples which is very common in our country also. When we construct any dam, some settlements have to be relocated, so there is habitat destruction. There can be soil erosion and displacement of communities living along the river banks. So all these ill effects may also be possible. But the central idea is that we analyze within the space related concept, there is man-nature relationship is a very important theme for analysis. Another theme is place. Place refers to a location, unique physical and human characteristics. It considers tangible features such as natural characteristics and intangible elements such as culture, language, religion and traditions, etc. All of them, they make distinct from other. That place make distinct from others. Place is an essential geographical concept because it helps us to understand how human beings interact with their environment. For example, places with fertile soil and abundance of rainfall, appropriate amount of rainfall, more likely to be used for agricultural activity than those areas which are drier or rocky areas. Similarly, places with natural resources such as minerals or oil can become more economic activity centers. So examining area, space, place helps recognizing commonality across space in terms of space area where the pattern and distribution can be identified. If you see here in this image, these pattern can be and distribution can be identified. This may be pattern which can be said as arrangement of entities. Density deals with frequency of events. Concentration explains the spread of events. So you see here how the same phenomena is represented in all three different examples. There is comparison between top and bottom. So you see the left, it is about density. The middle, top and bottom is about the concentration, and the right hand side, top and bottom, they represent the pattern. So you see how geographic space is giving us an idea as to the same phenomena. The value is the same, but the arrangement and pattern is different. The density is different. You can understand the importance of space related examination and evaluation is so critical. As I am saying, the value is same, but the representation gives us an idea which are different in terms of its geographic spread over the space. Another spatial theme is movement, which points the dynamism of the phenomena, the outcome of man-nature interactions. Movement refers to the mobility of people, goods and ideas across space. It explores how and why things move from one place to another and how this movement impacts the world. And in all these movements, space is at the core of our examination. Movement is categorized into different forms. As I am saying, for example, human migration, the transportation of goods and services also, communication of ideas, cultural diffusion. But in terms of space, different situations may exist, like distance is obvious measurement for movement, but there can be many distinctions, like absolute distance or distance measured in terms of time or cost or even perception, which we have discussed earlier also. Moreover, the friction of distance results in distance decay also. So, the same kind of phenomena with relation to distance would behave differently. That's another important theme, and I'll try to show you some examples. These examples of spatial movement and distinctions with space interactions. Again, distance and movement have variations as depicted in this slide. Like obstacle in path, that would result the distance perception into considering it longer or shorter. Or friction in movement due to topography. Or another example can be the vehicular restrictions. For example, on urban streets with one-way movement, you cannot cross road for certain distance. So these are some very common example, but this may give you a good idea, fair idea as to how this another theme of space related analysis, area analysis, the space and movement is also very important and critical. Now, just to sum up the discussion, to highlight the importance of spatial analysis and value addition by adding greater informative content and value. So, the spatial analysis is important in the context of space related analysis. It adds more information, more content, and enhance the value of the information when we inculcate the spatial dimension into it. The spatial analysis is also important in the context of it might reveal patterns, trends, and anomalies also that might otherwise be missed out, that might not be understood, that might not be easily visible in our information. So this spatial analysis gives us an added information into space related assessment. The spatial analysis also helps in situation where I might deceive. The spatial analysis is a method of analysis if the result depends on locations of objects being analyzed, where the objects are being analyzed. It reveals spatial dependence also. So if you take away the object or the phenomena or the situations where the object or phenomena would not remain as the same, the spatial dependence will be lesser and the result might change. So that way, time and space is also very important in that context. All in all, I would say that spatial analysis turns the raw data into useful information. It transforms the raw data into useful information. And this useful information is the advantage of spatial analysis, spatial information. So what I'm trying to highlight all the time is that these spatial information, they are very important and critical, and they add value to our knowledge about any phenomena, where we bring in the location into our discussion and in our analysis.